This is a book review in mental health of the book Unstressable, a practical guide to stress-free living by Gawdat.
Ever feel like, you have like a million tabs open in your web browser?
Oh, yeah.
That's me every Monday morning.
Yeah.
But today, we are going to be talking about stress, at least for the next, little bit.
Interesting you should say that because the source material that we're diving into today actually looks at stress as a system.
Oh, cool.
Kind of like your computer, a system that can be like analyzed and optimized.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the book Unstressable,
Yes.
a practical guide to stress-free living.
That's the one.
And we have a great book review to kind of guide us through this.
Yes, we do.
And we also have a ton of Amazon reviews from
Yes.
people who have actually read the book. So
Right.
think of this deep dive as like your cheat sheet to actually using these ideas.
Yeah, and the cool thing is that even if you're not like an engineer, like Gawdat, the author,
Yeah.
his approach is really relatable.
Okay.
He breaks down stress into inputs and effects, making it feel less like this just big scary thing and more like something that you can actually solve.
So instead of feeling overwhelmed by stress, we can start to see like the levers and the dials that we can actually adjust.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, doesn't breaking something as human as stress down into like a system
Yeah.
feel a little, I don't know.
A little cold.
Yeah.
I get it. I totally get where you're coming from.
Okay.
But think about it like this.
Okay.
When a doctor diagnoses, an illness,
Yeah.
they don't just treat the symptoms, right?
Right.
They look for the underlying cause.
Yeah.
It's the same with stress.
Okay.
Gawdat's system
Yeah.
helps us to see the root causes of our stress
Right.
so we can address them.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So walk me through this system.
Okay.
Like where do we even begin to unpack this whole thing called stress?
Well, Gawdat breaks stress down into 4 dimensions:
Okay.
mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. And just like your computer, has all these different components working together,
Yeah.
these dimensions of stress interact and influence each other.
Gotcha. Okay. So give me like a real world example here.
Okay.
Let's say I'm about to give a big presentation at work
Okay.
and I'm totally freaking out.
Yeah.
How would those 4 dimensions like show up?
First example.
Okay.
Mentally, you might be kind of stuck in this loop, overthinking every possible scenario,
Oh, yeah.
like picturing yourself tripping on the way to the podium.
Oh, my gosh. Yes.
Emotionally, you'd probably feel anxious,
Uh-huh.
maybe even a little dread,
Yeah.
maybe even some anger at yourself for feeling so nervous.
Well, tell me about it.
Yeah. And then physically, your heart would be racing.
Yes.
You'd probably be sweating.
Yeah.
Your stomach could be doing flips.
There's the physical, right?
Exactly. And then the spiritual dimension, which I think is often overlooked,
Yeah.
might show up as this feeling of disconnect from your purpose.
Yeah.
Like, why am I even doing this?
Especially if you're not even that thrilled about your job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not just about our thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
It's also about this deeper sense of meaning and connection.
This is already making me think about stress in a totally new way.
That's great.
Yeah.
And that's just the beginning.
Oh, gosh.
What's fascinating is that Gawdat doesn't just describe the problem.
Okay.
He actually gives you practical strategies for managing stress in each of these dimensions.
Okay. I'm all ears. Let's start with a mental dimension.
Okay.
How do we tackle those like runaway thoughts
Yeah.
that just seem to fuel so much stress?
Unstressable talks a lot about mindfulness,
Okay.
being present in the moment,
Right.
instead of letting your mind spiral into what ifs and should haves.
I've tried like meditation apps before,
Yeah.
but I feel like I always fail at it.
Yeah.
Like my mind just won't quiet down.
That's really common.
Does the book offer any tips for people like me who struggle with that?
Absolutely. It emphasizes that mindfulness is a practice. It's not a competition.
Right.
The book suggests starting small,
Ah.
like maybe just focusing on your breath for a few minutes each day.
Okay.
Even short bursts can make a big difference over time.
Okay, that's reassuring.
Yeah, baby steps.
Baby steps.
Yeah.
But what about those like really deep, ingrained negative thought patterns?
Okay.
Like, I'm not good enough, or, I always mess things up.
Right.
Like, how do we even begin to unravel those?
That's where cognitive restructuring comes in.
Okay.
It's about challenging those unhelpful thoughts
Right.
and replacing them with more balanced and realistic ones.
Okay.
The book has this cool exercise called the thought record, and it helps you to examine the evidence for and against those stressful thoughts.
So it's like taking those negative thoughts to court and presenting a counter-argument?
Exactly.
Like that.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, sometimes our emotions feel just as overwhelming as our thoughts.
Right.
What about managing that whole emotional roller coaster?
Unstressable digs into that too. A big part of it is understanding your emotional triggers, those situations, or people that tend to push your buttons.
Oh, yeah. I know that being hangry makes me well hangry.
Exactly.
So I try to avoid important conversations when my blood sugar is crashing.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a trigger for you.
Big time.
And once you know your triggers, you can start developing strategies to navigate those situations.
Right.
Maybe you pack a snack to avoid getting hangry.
Yeah.
Or you practice some deep breathing exercises
Yes.
before a stressful encounter.
So it's about being proactive
Yes.
and having a game plan,
Exactly.
not just reacting in the heat of the moment.
Right.
I can see how this approach could be a real game changer.
It really can be. And the book doesn't just stop at managing individual emotions.
Okay.
It emphasizes the importance of building overall emotional resilience.
Resilience, like bouncing back from those inevitable curveballs that life throws at you.
It's about developing the capacity to cope with those ups and downs, to experience difficult emotions without letting them take over.
Yeah.
And that involves cultivating things like self-compassion, gratitude, and a sense of humor.
So instead of beating myself up for feeling anxious or sad, I can acknowledge those feelings.
Yes.
Treat myself with kindness.
Exactly.
And remember that this too shall pass.
Yeah.
That's a much more empowering approach.
It is.
Than just trying to like white knuckle my way through it.
It is. And it's more sustainable in the long run.
Right.
Because let's face it, trying to avoid all negative emotions is like trying to avoid breathing.
Yeah, you can't do it.
It's just not realistic.
Okay, I'm sold in the emotional resilience thing.
Okay.
But what about those times when the stress manifests physically?
Yeah.
You know, the tension headaches, the racing heart, the sleepless nights.
Yeah.
What can we do about those?
Unstressable acknowledges that the body plays a huge role in how we experience stress.
Okay.
And it emphasizes that taking care of our physical well-being is crucial for managing those symptoms.
So we're talking about things like exercise, nutrition, getting enough sleep.
Yes.
But honestly, sometimes when I'm stressed, the last thing I feel like doing is hitting the gym.
Right.
Or cooking a healthy meal.
I hear you.
Any advice for those moments?
The book encourages us to be gentle with ourselves.
Okay.
And to focus on small, manageable steps.
Yeah.
Instead of aiming for an hour-long workout, maybe you just take a 10-minute walk.
Okay.
Or do some stretching at your desk.
Okay. So even baby steps count.
Baby steps count.
Okay, I can handle that.
Exactly. And remember, even small changes to your diet can make a big difference.
Right.
Focusing on whole foods, staying hydrated,
Okay.
limiting processed foods and sugar.
Yeah.
That can help to stabilize your energy levels
Yeah.
and improve your overall mood.
Right.
It's all about finding what works for you
Yeah.
and building those healthy habits over time.
Okay, now this whole spiritual stress thing is intriguing.
Yeah.
What exactly does that entail?
It's about feeling this disconnect from your values, from a sense of purpose or meaning. And Unstressable explores how that disconnect can actually manifest as stress in our lives.
So it's like that nagging feeling of emptiness or like lack of direction
Yeah.
that can creep in when we're not living in alignment with what truly matters to us.
You nailed it.
Okay.
And to combat this, the book suggests things like meditation, gratitude,
Okay.
spending time in nature.
Yeah.
It's about nurturing that connection to something bigger than ourselves, whether
Yes.
it's spirituality, community, a cause you believe in.
So it's not just about fixing what's broken.
Right.
It's about filling our cup with what truly nourishes us.
Exactly. And that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Because Unstressable introduces this concept of post-traumatic growth,
Okay.
which suggests that even in the face of adversity, we can experience profound personal development.
Wait, so you're telling me that stressful or even traumatic experiences can actually lead to positive growth?
That's right.
How does that work?
Think of it like this.
Right.
When a plant is pruned, it doesn't die right.
Right.
It actually grows back stronger and more vibrant.
Okay.
Similarly, when we face challenges in life,
Yeah.
those experiences can force us to reevaluate our priorities,
Okay.
discover hidden strengths,
Okay.
and develop a deeper appreciation for life.
Okay. But I'm guessing it's not as simple as just saying, hey, stress, thanks for making me a better person.
Right.
There's got to be more to it than that, right?
There definitely is, and that's where the book's emphasis on cultivating a growth mindset comes in.
We hear that term growth mindset a lot these days.
You do.
Can you break it down in the context of stress management?
Absolutely. A growth mindset is all about viewing challenges as opportunities
No.
for learning and development rather than threats to our well-being.
So instead of getting stuck in that I'm a failure mode,
Right.
when things go wrong, it's more about asking, okay, what can I learn from this?
Exactly.
How can I use this experience to become even better?
Exactly. And that shift in perspective can be incredibly empowering because it allows us to see stress not as an enemy to be avoided, but as a teacher, a guide,
Okay.
a catalyst for growth.
Okay. I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together. You got the 4 dimensions of stress.
Right.
This idea of stress as a signal, the importance of mindfulness and emotional resilience, and this powerful concept of post-traumatic growth.
Yes.
It's like we're building a whole new framework for understanding and managing stress.
Exactly. And we're just getting started.
Oh, God.
There's so much more to explore in Unstressable.
I bet.
But for now, let's pause here and take a moment to let all of this information sink in.
Great idea. We'll be back in just a bit to delve deeper into the practical strategies and actionable takeaways from Unstressable.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned, because we're about to get even more unstressable.
I love it. So welcome back to our deep dive into Unstressable.
Okay.
Before we kind of went off on that tangent about growth mindsets, we were talking about how this book isn't just theory.
Right.
It comes from the author Gawdat's own personal experience with stress.
Right. I'm actually curious to hear more about that.
Yeah.
Like, what makes this guy such an expert on stress anyway?
Well, his background is anything but typical for like a self-help author.
Okay.
Gawdat was a top executive at Google X.
Oh, wow.
You know, the place where they're inventing self-driving cars and trying to beam internet access from balloons.
Yeah, so this guy's a serious tech whiz.
Yeah.
But what led him to write a book about stress?
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't seem like it was part of the job description at Google X.
Actually, his journey to Unstressable started with a tragedy.
Amid the chaos, remember, you are stronger than the storm. Take a breath, take a step, peace will find you.
Oh.
He lost his son.
Oh, wow.
And that experience forced him to confront some of life's biggest questions.
I can only imagine how devastating that must have been.
It was a pivotal moment that shifted his entire perspective.
Okay.
He realized that all of his success, all of his achievements meant nothing if he didn't understand how to truly live a happy and fulfilling life.
So it wasn't just an intellectual pursuit for him. It was deeply personal.
Exactly. And I think that's what gives Unstressable its power.
Okay.
It's not just some abstract philosophy. It's born out of real life experience, out of wrestling with some of the toughest challenges a person can face.
Okay, so this guy goes from tech executive to happiness research.
Right.
Driven by this like profound personal quest.
Yes.
But how does that lead to this engineering approach to stress?
Well, he took his analytical skills from the tech world and applied them to understanding human happiness. And what he discovered was that stress was often the biggest roadblock. It was like this invisible force that was preventing people from experiencing joy and fulfillment.
So instead of just trying to feel happier, he realized that he needed to tackle the stress that was holding him back.
That's exactly right.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And that's where the engineering mindset comes in.
Okay.
He figured if he could break down stress into its core components, he could develop strategies to manage it more effectively.
That's interesting. So it's not about eliminating stress altogether.
No.
Which we all know is impossible.
Right.
But about equipping ourselves with the tools to navigate it.
You got it.
Okay.
And by understanding stress as a system, we can start to identify those specific inputs.
Okay.
Those triggers that send our stress levels soaring.
Okay, that brings us back to those 4 dimensions of stress that we talked about earlier.
Right.
Mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual.
Yes.
But let's go beyond just defining them.
Okay.
What are some actual strategies from the book that people can use to manage stress in each of these areas?
Let's start with the mental dimension,
Okay.
since that's often where stress takes root.
Yeah.
One of the key strategies that the book highlights is cognitive restructuring.
Right, we touched on that earlier.
We did.
But can you give me like a specific example of how that might work in a real life situation?
Sure. Imagine you're stuck in traffic.
Okay.
And you start thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to be so late.
Yeah.
My boss is going to be furious. I'm going to lose my job.
Oh, I've totally been there.
Yeah.
My mind loves to spiral into worst case scenarios.
Right. And cognitive restructuring helps you to hit the brakes on that spiral.
Okay.
Instead of getting swept away by those anxious thoughts,
Yeah.
you might ask yourself, is it really guaranteed that I'll be fired for being a few minutes late?
Right.
What's the most likely outcome here?
So it's about injecting a dose of reality
Exactly.
into those emotionally charged moments.
Yes. And the book provides this helpful tool called the thought record.
Okay.
It guides you through examining the evidence
Right.
for and against your stressful thoughts,
Right.
helping you to see things from a more balanced perspective.
It's like taking those negative thoughts to court
Exactly.
and presenting a counter argument.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah. And once you've identified those unhelpful thought patterns,
Right.
you can start replacing them with more constructive ones.
Okay.
For example, instead of thinking, I'm a failure because I messed up that presentation,
Yeah.
you might reframe it as, everyone makes mistakes. This is an opportunity for me to learn and improve.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
Good.
But what about those times when the stress isn't so much about our thoughts,
Okay.
but about our emotions?
Yeah.
Like when you're just feeling overwhelmed by anxiety or anger.
Right.
What does the book suggest for managing those moments?
One of the most important things is to understand your emotional triggers,
Okay.
those situations, or people that tend to set off those intense reactions.
Right. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
Like knowing that being hangry makes me extra irritable.
Yeah.
So I try to avoid important conversations when my blood sugar is low.
Exactly. And once you know your triggers, you can start developing coping mechanisms.
Right.
Maybe you pack a snack to avoid getting hangry. Or you practice some deep breathing exercises before a stressful encounter.
Yeah.
The key is to be proactive
Okay.
rather than reactive.
So it's about having a game plan.
Yes.
Instead of just letting your emotions run wild.
Exactly. And beyond managing specific emotions,
Oh.
Unstressable talked about building overall emotional resilience.
Resilience.
Yeah.
Being able to bounce back from setbacks and challenges
Yes,
without completely falling apart.
that's it.
I definitely need more of that.
It's something we can all work on.
Yeah.
And it involves cultivating things like self-compassion, gratitude,
Okay.
and even a sense of humor.
Those all sound good in theory, but how
Yeah.
do you actually put those into practice
Yeah.
when you're feeling stressed out?
Well, self-compassion is about treating yourself
Okay.
with the same kindness and understanding
Yeah.
you would offer a friend who's going through a tough time.
Okay.
Instead of beating yourself up for feeling anxious or overwhelmed,
No.
you acknowledge those feelings and offer yourself words of comfort and support.
So it's about being your own cheerleader
Exactly.
instead of your own worst critic.
Yes.
Okay. I like that.
And gratitude is about shifting your focus
Okay.
to the good things in your life, even when things are tough.
Right.
It doesn't mean ignoring the challenges,
Yeah.
but it does mean taking time to appreciate the things you're grateful for,
Okay.
no matter how small they may seem.
Yeah.
And that can help to shift your perspective and
Right.
boost your mood.
Okay. And humor.
Yeah.
How does that fit into the resilience equation?
Laughter is a powerful antidote to stress.
Yes.
It releases endorphins,
Uh-huh.
reduces stress hormones,
Yeah.
and helps you to see things from a lighter perspective.
Okay.
So watch a funny movie.
Yeah.
Spend time with people who make you laugh.
Right.
Or just find humor in the everyday absurdity of life.
Okay, so we've covered some strategies for managing the mental and emotional dimensions of stress.
Right.
What about the physical side of things?
Okay.
Those tense muscles,
Yeah.
the racing heart,
Yeah.
the sleepless nights.
Yeah.
What can we do about those?
Unstressable emphasizes the importance of taking care of our physical well-being,
Okay.
which, as you mentioned, includes things like exercise,
Right.
nutrition, and sleep.
But I have to admit, sometimes when I'm super stressed, the last thing I want to do is go for a run
I know.
or cook a healthy meal.
I get it.
It's like all my good intentions just fly out the window.
The book acknowledges that it can be hard to find the motivation to take care of yourself
Yeah.
when you're feeling depleted,
Yeah.
but it also stresses that even small changes can make a big difference.
Okay, so what kind of small changes are we talking about?
Yeah.
Give me something I can actually do when I'm feeling overwhelmed.
Instead of aiming for an hour-long workout,
Okay.
maybe you just commit to a 10-minute walk
Okay.
or do some stretching on your desk.
Yeah.
Or instead of overhauling your entire diet, you
Mhm.
just focus on adding more fruits and vegetables to your meals.
Okay, so baby steps are okay.
Baby steps are great.
Oh, okay, I can handle that.
And don't underestimate the power of simple relaxation techniques
Cool.
like deep breathing
Right.
or progressive muscle relaxation.
I've heard about those techniques,
Yeah.
but I've never really tried them.
Okay.
Can you walk me through how they work?
Deep breathing is as simple as it sounds.
Okay.
You just focus on taking slow, deep breaths,
Okay.
inhaling deeply into your belly, and exhaling slowly through your mouth.
Okay.
This helps to slow your heart rate,
Okay.
reduce anxiety, and increase your sense of calm.
Okay, that sounds easy enough.
Yeah.
What about progressive muscle relaxation?
This technique involves tensing and relaxing different muscle groups in your body,
Okay.
one at a time.
Okay.
You start with your toes, tense them for a few seconds,
Okay.
and then release the tension.
Okay.
Then you move up to your calves, thighs, and
Yeah.
so on until you've worked your way through your entire body.
Okay.
This helps you to become aware of where you're holding tension. Right.
And release it consciously.
That's interesting. I can see how that would be helpful for those of us who
Yeah.
tend to carry stress in our bodies.
Exactly. And the best part is you can do these techniques anywhere, anytime.
Right.
So if you're feeling overwhelmed at work,
Yeah.
you can take a few minutes to practice deep breathing
Huh?
or progressive muscle relaxation at your desk.
Right.
Or if you're having trouble sleeping,
Yeah.
you can do them in bed before you drift off.
Okay, now we talked earlier about how the spiritual dimension of stress is often overlooked.
Yes.
Can we dive a little deeper into that?
Sure.
What are some specific examples of how this might show up in people's lives?
It can manifest as a feeling of emptiness
Okay.
or lack of purpose.
Yeah.
A sense that something is missing, even if you can't quite put your finger on it.
Right.
It can also show up as a disconnect from your values,
Okay.
feeling like you're not living in alignment with what you believe in.
So it's not just about feeling stressed,
Right.
it's about feeling lost or unfulfilled. Exactly. And Unstressable suggests that this spiritual disconnect
Okay.
can actually contribute to stress in other areas of our lives.
Okay, that makes sense. But what can we do about it?
Yeah.
How do we reconnect with that sense of meaning and purpose?
Well, the book offers a few different approaches.
Okay.
One is through mindfulness practices like meditation.
Okay.
This can help to quiet the mind,
Yeah.
connect with your inner wisdom,
Okay.
and tap into a sense of peace and stillness that can be incredibly grounding.
So it's not just about reducing stress.
Right.
It's about cultivating a deeper connection with ourselves.
Exactly. And another approach is through gratitude.
Okay.
Taking time each day to appreciate the good things in your life,
Yeah.
no matter how small they may seem,
Right.
can help shift your focus away from what's stressing you out and cultivate a sense of contentment and appreciation.
That makes sense. What else can we do to nourish that spiritual dimension?
Spending time in nature can be incredibly restorative. Whether it's going for a walk in the park, hiking in the woods, or just sitting by the ocean,
Yeah.
connecting with the natural world can help us to feel more grounded,
Mm-hmm.
centered, and connected to something larger than ourselves.
I love that. It's like nature has this innate ability to soothe our souls.
It really does.
Yeah.
And another powerful way to connect with your spiritual side is through service to others.
Okay.
Volunteering your time, donating to a cause you believe in,
Right.
or simply offering acts of kindness to those around you
Yeah.
can help you to feel more connected to your community
Okay.
and tap into a sense of purpose beyond your own individual needs.
That's a beautiful thought.
Mhm.
It's like we're not just here to take care of ourselves.
Right.
We're here to make a positive impact on the world around us.
Exactly. And that sense of purpose can be incredibly empowering, especially when we're feeling stressed or overwhelmed.
Okay, so we've explored strategies for managing stress
Yeah.
in the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual dimensions.
Right.
But I'm curious, does Unstressable offer any advice for dealing with those like sudden, unexpected stressors
Yes.
that seem to pop up out of nowhere?
Absolutely.
You know, the kind that send your heart racing
Right.
and make you want to hide under your desk?
One of the most important things the book emphasizes is the power of the pause.
The pause. What do you mean by that?
It's about creating a space between the stimulus, the stressful event,
Okay.
and your response.
Okay.
Instead of reacting immediately,
Yeah.
you take a moment to breathe,
Good.
observe your thoughts and feelings,
Right.
and choose how you want to respond.
So it's about hitting the pause button on that fight or flight response
That's it.
and giving yourself a chance to collect your thoughts.
Exactly. And even a few seconds of pause can make a huge difference.
Okay.
It allows you to access your prefrontal cortex,
Uh-huh.
the part of your brain responsible for rational thinking
Right.
and decision making,
Okay.
which tends to go offline when you're in a state of stress.
That's fascinating. So by taking a moment to pause,
Yes,
we're essentially giving our brains a chance to catch up
exactly.
and make a more conscious choice about how we respond to the situation.
That's right. And the book offers several techniques for creating that pause.
Okay.
One is simply to focus on your breath.
Right.
Another is to use a mantra or affirmation,
Okay.
like I am calm or this too shall pass.
Okay. I can see how those techniques could be helpful
Yeah.
in those moments when you feel like you're about to lose it.
They really can be, and the more you practice them,
Yeah.
the easier it becomes to access that sense of calm amidst the chaos.
This has been incredibly insightful. We've covered so much ground, from understanding the 4 dimensions of stress
Yeah.
to exploring practical strategies for managing it.
Great.
But before we wrap up part 2,
Okay.
I want to circle back to the author's personal story.
Okay.
We talked about how his journey to Unstressable began with a profound tragedy. But does the book offer any insights into how he was able to find his way back
It does.
to happiness and fulfillment after experiencing such a devastating loss?
And I think this is one of the most powerful aspects of the book.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Gawdat doesn't shy away from the pain and grief he experienced.
Right.
But he also shares the wisdom he gained through that process.
Okay, what insights did he glean from that experience?
Well, one of the key things he learned was the importance of acceptance.
Okay.
He realized that resisting the reality of his son's death
Yeah.
was only prolonging his suffering.
So it's not about denying the pain or pretending that everything is okay,
No.
but about acknowledging the reality of the situation
Yes.
and allowing yourself to feel those difficult emotions.
Exactly. And he also discovered the power of finding meaning in the midst of suffering.
Oh.
Instead of asking, why me?
Yeah.
He started asking, what can I learn from this?
Right.
How can I use this experience to help others?
And so it's about transforming that pain into something positive, something that can contribute to the world.
Exactly. And I think that's a message that resonates with a lot of people.
Yeah.
We're going through difficult times.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that even in the darkest of moments,
Yeah.
there's always the potential for growth and transformation.
Wow, that's incredibly inspiring.
It is.
It's a reminder that even when life throws us curveballs, we have the power to choose how we respond
That's right.
and to find meaning and purpose in the midst of those challenges.
That's the key.
And that's a message that's at the heart of Unstressable.
Yes, it is.
This has been such a rich and insightful conversation.
Good.
I feel like I'm already starting to see stress in a whole new light.
That's great.
But we've only scratched the surface of what this book has to offer.
You're right. There's still so much more to explore,
I bet.
including some of the key takeaways and actionable tips
Okay.
that we can all start using in our own lives.
I can't wait.
Ooh,
We'll be back in just a bit to dive even deeper into Unstressable.
sounds fun.
Stay tuned.
Don't be alarmed if you're stressed. You are not alone. We're all entangled in this complicated, stressful, fast-paced modern world, expected to handle it flawlessly, without the simplest education on how to make the stressors work for us, not against us. This expectation is as silly as asking you to jump into a supercar, race it around a Formula One track in the pouring rain, win the title, and make it off the track alive without ever being taught how to drive. Seriously, epidemic. Most of us believe that the only pandemic we needed to face in our lifetime so far was COVID-19. But this is not true. For many years now, the World Health Organization has dubbed stress as the health epidemic of the 21st century. Research shows that 70 to 90% of all doctors' visits in the US are reported to somehow be related to stress. According to the American Institute of Stress, 1 of every 3 Americans live in extreme stress. 77% suffer physical health issues due to the stress they feel, and stress negatively impacts the mental health of 73% of all Americans.
Welcome back to the deep dive.
Okay.
We've been unpacking this idea of being unstressable.
Right.
Not just surviving stress, but actually using it to become
Yes.
stronger and more resilient.
It's like upgrading your operating system,
I like that.
but for your life.
Okay.
And in this final part, we're going to extract the most essential upgrade codes
Okay.
from Unstressable that you can implement right away.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the first upgrade we should install in our stress management software?
Well, remember how Gawdat's whole journey started with a profound loss?
Yeah.
One of the biggest lessons he learned, and what he emphasizes throughout the book,
Yeah.
is that stress is a choice.
We've touched on that idea before.
Yeah,
But I think it bears repeating.
I agree.
It's so easy to feel like we're victims of our circumstances.
Right,
But this book reminds us that we always have the power to choose our response.
right. And it's not about pretending everything is fine
Yeah.
or suppressing our emotions. It's about recognizing that we have agency,
Okay.
even in the midst of chaos.
Okay, so upgrade number 1 is remembering that we have a choice in how we respond to stress.
That's it.
What's the next crucial download?
This one's a bit of a mind bender. Embrace stress as a signal, not an enemy.
Wait, so instead of trying to avoid stress at all costs,
Yeah.
we should actually lean into it.
In a way,
Okay, that seems counterintuitive.
think of it like this.
Okay.
When your car's check engine light comes on,
Mm-hmm.
you don't just ignore it, right?
Right.
You take it as a signal that something needs attention.
Okay, so stress is like our internal check engine light.
Yeah.
Letting us know that something's out of whack in our lives.
Exactly.
What kind of things might it be signaling?
It could be anything from needing to set better boundaries at work
Okay.
to needing to make more time for self-care.
Right.
Or maybe it's a sign that you're not living in alignment with your values
Uh-huh.
and a bigger change is needed.
So instead of seeing stress as this like big scary monster we need to run from,
Right.
we can view it as a messenger,
Yes.
guiding us toward a more fulfilling life.
Exactly. And by listening to those messages,
Yeah.
we can start to make changes that actually reduce our stress levels in the long run.
Okay, I'm adding stress, my inner guidance counselor, to my mental to-do list.
I love it.
What other upgrades should we be installing in our stress management system?
This one's crucial. Cultivate a growth mindset.
Okay.
Remember, it's not about being perfect
Right.
or avoiding challenges altogether.
Yeah.
It's about seeing obstacles as opportunities
I love
for learning and development.
It's like that saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Right.
But in this case, it's more like what challenges you makes you wiser, more resilient, and better equipped to handle whatever life throws your way.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
And a growth mindset can transform how we approach stressful situations.
Right.
Instead of seeing them as setbacks, we can reframe them as opportunities to learn and grow.
So if I make a mistake at work,
Yeah.
instead of beating myself up about it,
Right.
I might ask myself, what can I learn from this?
Yeah.
How can I do better next time?
Exactly. And that shift in perspective can make a world of difference in how we experience stress.
Well, let's get practical.
Oh,
We've talked about these like high-level concepts,
right.
but what are some concrete actions our listeners can take today
Yes.
to start managing their stress more effectively?
One of the simplest yet most powerful things you can do is prioritize sleep.
Oh, yeah.
When we're sleep deprived, our stress levels skyrocket.
Big time.
It's like trying to run a marathon on an empty tank.
I know, I'm definitely crankier and more easily stressed out when I haven't gotten enough sleep.
And it's not just about the quantity of sleep,
Right,
but also the quality.
right.
Creating a consistent sleep routine,
Well,
making sure your bedroom is dark and cool,
uh-huh.
and avoiding screens before bed can make a huge difference.
Okay, so sleep hygiene is key. What else can we do on a daily basis to combat stress?
Mindfulness is a game changer. Even just a few minutes of mindful breathing or meditation each day can help calm your nervous system,
Right.
reduce anxiety, and improve your focus.
And the great thing is there are so many apps and resources available now
There are.
that make mindfulness practices accessible to everyone,
Yes.
even if you've never meditated before.
And don't underestimate the power of movement.
Okay.
Whether it's a brisk walk, a yoga class, or just dancing around your living room, moving your body releases endorphins,
Right.
reduces stress hormones, and improves your mood.
And it doesn't have to be like an intense workout.
No,
Even just 10 or 15 minutes of movement can make a difference.
absolutely. And finally, nourish your body with whole, nutrient-rich foods.
Okay.
What you eat has a direct impact on your energy levels,
Yeah.
mood, and resilience to stress.
So ditch the processed junk
Yes,
and fuel your body with the good stuff.
exactly. Now, as we wrap up our deep dive into Unstressable, I want to leave you with this thought.
Oh.
What if instead of trying to eliminate stress altogether,
Yeah,
we focused on building our capacity to handle it?
that's a great question.
Yeah.
It's like the difference between trying to avoid getting wet in the rain
Yeah,
and simply putting on a raincoat.
exactly. We can't control the weather,
Right.
but we can control how prepared we are for it.
And in this case, our raincoat is our toolkit of stress-busting strategies,
I like that.
our understanding of how stress works,
Yeah?
and our commitment to nurturing our well-being mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually.
Beautifully said. And remember, building resilience is an ongoing process. It's
Right.
not about achieving some mythical state of unstressability,
Right.
but rather about developing the skills and habits
Yeah.
that allow us to navigate life's challenges with grace and composure.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into Unstressable.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights and practical tools to help you manage stress and live a more fulfilling life.
And remember, you're not alone on this journey.
Right?
We all experience stress,
Yeah.
but we don't have to let it control us.
Right.
By understanding its nature, cultivating healthy habits,
Yeah.
and choosing our responses wisely.
Yeah.
We can transform stress from a burden into a catalyst for growth and resilience.
Until next time,
Yeah.
stay curious, stay engaged,
Yes.
and stay unstressable.
I love it.
We encourage you as well to check out this book. Leave a comment and tell us what you think about this book. Next on Mental Pages. Are you tired of endless worry and those nagging, negative thoughts? In my next review, we're diving into Stop Negative Thinking by William Courage, the ultimate self-help guide to breaking free from worry, taking control of your mind, and building habits that lead to a happier, more positive you. Stay tuned as we uncover practical tips and powerful strategies to turn your mindset around and embrace positivity. You don't want to miss this one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss this or any of our upcoming reviews. See you soon on Mental Pages. Let's turn the page to better mental health.